But instead, we're going to be jumping straight back into the lovely and amazing Don't Forget Our Esports Dream. Last we left off, we had just finished up casting a Smash game, if I'm not mistaken. We won Sonic. Get out of here, Cyclone. You silly you. Let's be real. You want more Smash. More Smash and Voracious Cube. But back to not forgetting our esports dream. Living voraciously that esports dream that we all will never really get. Turn up the volume a little bit since there's no voice. It's just the nice chill music in the background. All right. It's about time to go back to our hotel. We just talked to our old coach, who has apparently got a completely random accent that makes no sense. Cityscape is an amazing thing. One of the best ones. Definitely one of the best Sonic game music pieces ever. Oh, look at that. We were immediately about to... Oh, going back to talk to Jet. How much longer? An hour maybe? She sighs, glancing around to make sure Synthé isn't lingering nearby. The space behind the Gear Flame booth clearly wasn't designed for conversation. I can't stand this. The fans here have no sense of personal space, and Synthé, she's so obnoxious and insistent and nosy. If I hear that laugh one more time... Ho! Ho ho ho! Chaeyoung clenches her fist with such intensity that I see veins show on her neck. Woof! Sounds like she does not appreciate that. Chill. You're gonna get gray hair. Tell me I'm almost done. You're almost done. With a deep breath, she slips past me and back into the main Gear Flame area. A group of industry type huddle around Synthé. Rather than placate them with a photo op or please free stuff, she commands their attention with conversation. Her Chinese and complex English is hard to follow, but it's obvious she's telling them something esports related. Dude, she's amazing. Does she speak English, Chinese, Korean, and, like, Norwegian? Because my mind is blown. Polyglots are incredible. The way I understand the industry, it's basically impossible to make money paying teenagers and 20-somethings to play games outside of Korea. Yet, year after year, foreigners insist on doing it anyway. My gut tells me that's mainly because it's fun, and partially because they convince themselves they're building something that might be sustainable someday. I mean, to be fair, it's hard to talk about that when we're now, and he was in 2008. The former I understand, but I'm skeptical of the latter. Either way, I'm not going to complain if their ill-advised ventures fund an event like this. Synthé parts with the trio only after exchanging business cards. The photo's less crowded than before. The booth is less crowded than before, offering her and Jet a momentary reprieve from the PR mode. It must be one of the sponsored title drawing people to the main stage. With all that pomp and Chinese money, they better be able to bait a few nerds to watch a soulless game for an hour. Sunghwan, welcome back. Enjoying ICG? It's been alright. I'll give you a better answer tomorrow depending on how I place. Eyes on the prize, and a fine competition for Jet. What I know about Starcraft's rigorous training requirements, you'll both spend the rest of the day practicing for tomorrow, yes? No, we'll both need to warm up tomorrow, but last-minute cram session will help give us a chance at winning. Rest before a high-stakes match should really be the new standard. How structured. Consider yourself lucky that you need not plan around team meetings and strategy discussions. only during Team League. But I'm not in the mood to hash out every detail of our superior methods. The less they know, the better. Then, one last activity for the fans before I leave the two of you to your evening. What? Another gimmick? Come now, Chae-young. You put up quite the fight in Guitar Hero. I'm not convinced that was your first go with a plastic instrument. I'll place you in familiar territory this time, relatively speaking. She points her index finger and middle fingers at us and then brings them together. I'd like for you to play Brood War together against one of our interested guests. What? Like Macro, the custom game?
Whatever that is unlikely. One of you will use the mouse and the other will use the keyboard. It should prove quite entertaining.
So it's like the inferior form of, what was it? Archon mode.
Fine. I could smash a convention scrub blindfolded. Is that so? Well, then that won't do. I'll have the two of you as one take on two opponents. That's only fair, right?
I reprimand Jet with a stare, while Synthé pelts us with another laugh. There goes our ticket to an easy exit. It's not long before Synthé barks their challenge far and wide. Winner set to receive a keyboard or headset. A number of interested con-goers peel away from the main stage, some lined up to compete and many more just to simply watch. Even a foreigner decked in team and sponsored logos stands among the spectators. At least he has the decency not to line up as a challenger. The Gearflame keyboard and mouse we're meant to use are unfamiliar in my hands. As our two challengers are getting set up, I turn to Jet. Any preference?
Mouse. Also, we should play Zerg. I don't have much faith in Synth A's ability to pick a good map.
If Jet's feeling confident, I don't have a problem letting her lead. Just as we get ready to load into the map, a look at our station reveals something amiss. Did they give us one chair? $50 says they gave us one chair. Hey, what did I say? Synth A, we need another chair.
But that's part of the game. One keyboard, one mouse, and one chair.
Before I can protest any further, Synthé smashes the ready button and the countdown begins. Jet and I scramble for the seat, though I'm first to sit. Ahead of us, the crowd is clearly enjoying our conundrum. You stand. The table's too low to the ground for me to reach without squatting.
Hell no, I'm not about to ruin my wrist before a tournament. Move.
She forces her way out of the seat, grinding her hip against mine. With neither of us willing to back down, we end up in an uncomfortable compromise. The left half mine, the right half hers. Our spat ends in instinct when the game finishes loading. Seconds wasted at this stage could leave us a minute behind in mid-game. For once, I'm grateful that Jet and I are locked behind a language barrier. With Synthé busy commentating, our conversation is our own. Overlord next. Do not make a drone. What's the hotkey again?
And you call yourself a pro gamer? It's O.
Almost as bad as reaching for a pylon. Wait, I can use both hands for hotkeys. Ha! I press the key with my right index finger on Q, but using my right hand in addition to my left defies the years of muscle memory I built, so it's only a minute later that I'm instead using it to rest my chin. Put the drone on 1, Overlord on 4, and Hatch on 5 when I select next. I use location hotkeys for my bases early game. When I'm done making workers, I use them for battles. You should try it. It's way more efficient.
You're not. Just hotkey the base. And don't jump to it without telling me. And when I tell you to, jump to it immediately. When I say so, double tap 5 and be ready to hit D. No, not now. Double tap 1. We scout a Zerg with a clumsy 4-pull underway and a Terran apparently playing standard. Neither have scouted us, and a glance to my right shows why. Heads up, they can see our screen. I point out the many screens around the Gearflame booth as broadcasting a first-person view. As if a 2-on-1 could be any worse, they've also got full intel on us. It's unlikely that our opponents are good enough to make use of stuff like gas mined, but them knowing our spawn locations will make this challenging.
Regardless, Jet remains more concerned with me than our opponents. If that's the case, they could have worker rushed us right away and instantly won. Since they don't know that, they're bad. Now, Lings, Zed. Huh, she's right. I choose not to inform Jet that I'm now bad, in her judgment. Hey. Hi, how's it going, Flying Muffins? 6 Zerglings attack are natural. Our expansion takes almost 10 full seconds of damage before we're able to drive them away. Luckily, the opponent's late retreat lets us score a few freeling kills. If we're in a real game of Starcraft, our defense there practically guarantees victory in the next 5 minutes. But behind that Zerg's attack, his Terran teammate is powering up unchallenged. We need to scout. I'm glad to hear you're doing good. Already on it, 2A. Zerg will probably spend the next minutes trying to establish an economy given that he's so far behind. That leaves us plenty of time to deal with the Terran. A peek inside his base with an Overlord shows an absurd number of barracks producing Marines, Firebats, and Medics. It's safe to say he expanded early. I'm just lurking, read away. Okie doke. Lurk away. We're not gonna have time to go for Mutalisks. We have to. Harass is the best way to crush players with bad APM. It'll be fine. We'll build in a few Sunkens. Morph the Geyser. We cut corners as quietly as possible, certain that completely safe play is neither necessary nor wise in this situation. A moment of panic subsides when our messy tag team Zergling Micro at the front of the Terran's base dissuades his attempt at a push. The intel they got from screen looking should offer them enough time to construct plenty of spore colonies and missile turrets. But Jet puts on her wrath on full display, bullying the Terran into submission with nothing but 11 Mutalisks and an Overlord. At first, it's hard for us to get the timing for moving shot down. After a few attempts, she calls out P. I guess I pressed the button just in time, and together we mow down a worker line. A casual Starcraft fan should know Patrol Micro exists, but that doesn't make it any easier to defend against. Should we take a third or just end? Safer to macro, probably. Plus, this is kind of fun. She shows a smile before trying to hide it. At this point, we're just showing off. Jet shoots down a suggestion to proxy a hatch or two, though. Not with a suitable replacement. Not without a suitable replacement. As we wash over their combined forces and into the Terran's main, we infest a command center just before it's destroyed. To the crowd's further delight, we use them to train a few infested Terrans. They promptly destroy what's left of our opponent's Zergling army with stylish flair. When the challengers call GG, Jet and I simultaneously exhale and lean back. Enjoy your bus ride. You were working so hard that I could take it easy, right? Leech, let's switch. She lifts herself and hovers above me, taking my place on the left when I squeeze by. I'd have a hard time calling the way we're crammed against one another comfortable, but I hope she's enjoying this as much as I am. Hip to hip, we slay 3 more challenger teams. There's a close call in a game of 3 when one of our opponents actually goes for the SCV rush, though apparently he couldn't convince the stranger team to do the same. Without saying a word to one another, we execute every near exemplary shift-click worker micro. Only a single probe falls to the opponent's 4 SCVs. After our fourth victory, Synthé announces the contest's conclusion after a disappointed line of hopefuls. With her headset unclaimed, she graces each of the challengers with mouse pads and said, "Well done. I thought my handicap might hamstring you more, but my crowd was entertained, so I have little to complain about." Thanks, but don't you have a prize for us too? Ah, how could I forget? She peppers the back of her hands with that piercing laugh. The other reaches into her pocket and reveals a keycard. I've sharpied the room number on the front. It's within walking distance, just 10 minutes down the King Lulu. Butchering romanization of Chinese. Jet lurches forward a little too eagerly before stopping herself. When she does take her hotel key from a grinning Senthe, it's as if one might a business card. Thank you. If I don't see you around tomorrow, I want to make sure that I really appreciate this opportunity. It was physically painful for Jet to say that. Well done. Oh, don't worry about it. I'm certain we'll be in touch. Enjoy your evening, Chae-young, Sunghwan. What a beatdown. You had a good time. Just admit it. You weren't there to see everything before that. Hundreds of sweaty nerds clamoring for photos and autographs. Hers too. But she made it look so easy. People want your signature. That's a good thing. And Senthe seemed nice enough. You think she's nice? She's a smug know-it-all with an annoying laugh, and I don't like how she looks down on me. She picked you over anyone else. She did more than that. I should have told you before, but I got an invite to this tournament. The same seed as Fierce or anyone who won the regional qualifier. You're not playing in the open bracket tomorrow? No, and it happened right when I responded to her job offer. I'm sure she had something to do with it. What can I say? Yet another handout. I feel bad for Jet. She very clearly feels like she doesn't feel like she's working as hard as she doesn't like handouts. And she feels like even though she's a great player, she feels like it's not her skill that's putting her where she is always. And that's kind of a bummer. I don't want to go through this again. Just place well tomorrow so I don't have to hear about your insecurity anymore. Without a comeback from Chae-young, we suffer the next kilometer in cold silence. Senthe's suggested route to the hotel takes us along a brick-paved promenade. Locals glide past us and the palm trees overhead shake in the wind. To my left, waves wash against the rocks beneath a foggy sky. I'd enjoy the sea breeze more if it didn't remind me so much of Busan. Sorry. It's fine. I saw Locke today, and my old coach. He's competing. Locke? Here? He wasn't... First and second place for last season's XSL. What kind of jujitsu did your coach pull? This is such garbage. A KPGA show of force, maybe? Plus, I'm sure he's got way more international fans than somebody like Jaejong. He deserves the spotlight. A close set with Fiercer Locke would put either of us in the spotlight. I didn't want to lose to anyone, but I especially don't want to lose to Kijong. If either of us make it that far, we'll have done enough work to be proud. Just play good games. It's all we ever do. I know you want to win something. Open bracket starts at 8 a.m. tomorrow. Did you know that? No, but I knew that you would. Bolt. She shoves me and walks ahead the rest of the way. Oh my gosh, that is a nice hotel room. But why would you put... Why is the wall between the bed and the bath a glass window? That seems kind of stupid. I'm not sure what I expected, but the fact didn't dawn on me until the elevator ride up to the 4th floor. Chae-young and I are sharing this hotel room. One king-size bed fits in the center of the room with another major flaw. I can't blame Sinthe considering she was booking a room for a pair of siblings, but what is the point of a window in the bathroom? Exactly. What do you think, Jovine? Get out of here, Cyclone. You and your lewd. Jet's been tense since we stepped inside. We retrieve our belongings at a languid pace, each trying to move slower than the other. The first to unpack burdens themselves as the first to act, to climb into bed and shut off the lights or break the silence. In the end, it's her.
Don't look.
Okay, there's a window opposite the door with a nightlit view of Zuhai, but I chose certain darkness beneath the bedspread instead. Steam creeps beneath the door, followed by a herbal scent. Discipline, Sung Hwan. The bathroom door opens. I hear her footfalls. A rustle of cloth, a towel or clothing, another minute, and...
That tired? You can look now.
Just resting my eyes. What time are you waking up tomorrow?
You need to be awake by at least 7, so around then, probably.
Why? I wouldn't give up to sleep.
I don't like walking alone, especially if I don't know the area.
I feel Chae-young take a seat at the bed's edge. When I finally look, I see her racing a brush through her auburn hair.
Even back home? Sometimes.
Why? Korea's the safest country in the world.
I don't... You look tense, Jet.
Cyclone! I've actually heard a lot of great things about Korea being safe. To be fair, they also, random fact, they have CCTV, and it's, like, on public roads. Like, they have a lot of stuff that's always being recorded, so that probably helps. But I don't think it's the safest. Chae-young doesn't bother to explain whatever I'm failing to understand. For a while, the only sound between us is that of her brushing.
When did you start dyeing it? I wanted to before, but I couldn't until I left Shock T1.
It suits you, but your natural hair looks better.
Who asked you?
When she's done, Chae-young rubs her hands together and falls back onto the bed. With both our eyes on the ceiling, we share a silence. We're not supposed to share a space like this. I thought I'd feel more awkward about it. I'm probably not past my late middle school crush on this girl, but everything else we share overshadows it. We work troublingly well together. Always have. Right now, I can't ask for more than that. When was the first time you played?
Starcraft? Why?
I want to know.
7 or 8 years ago. One weekend when my parents were gone, my brother was supposed to watch me at home, but dragged me along to a cafe instead. I watched for a while and then asked if I could play. I just wanted in on the fun. I begged him to take me a few times after that. Then he invited me. Then I was the one inviting him.
I doubt losing to his kid sister was much fun.
He and his friends let me win once or twice before I knew better. When I found out, I made sure they'd never make that mistake again.
It was normal for them to do that for you.
Maybe, but I couldn't stand their lie. Anyway, it was a few months before I took my first real game. I liked being around them, and they didn't mind teaching me. When I started winning for real, he wasn't bitter. He was impressed. I think he knew before I did that I'd aim for pro gaming.
How much better was he at the hustle?
We only did it to his friends and classmates, and it was mostly for laugh. I learned to love the attention I got from showing off. I miss those times. I'd hoped Min-seo would be good on her own for that reason. Making her lure my catch was selfish.
By the way, I looked it up. It's Min-seo. At least from what I saw.
If you hadn't, I wouldn't be here right now.
Oh, if you hadn't, I wouldn't be here right now. So, it all works out.
That's true. To think I could have had this room to myself.
I flick the like switch and pull myself back into bed, only for Chae-young to nudge my side beneath the covers. Not yet. Your turn. Fine. I watched Starcraft before I ever played it. Never missed a game of my favorite player.
KDG?
Yeah. He was the closest thing I ever had to a hero. I was too young to appreciate his play. What drew me was the way he looked and spoke into the camera, his stoicism and sportsmanship. He never let the pain of his defeats show. KDG talked openly about how hard his life was before Starcraft, that he was living out of PC Pongs and skipping school before his big break. I admired his achievements that much more. He played Protoss, so of course I did too. With my friends from school sometimes, but mostly myself. My parents never stopped complaining about all the time I spent at PC Pongs. I'd planned on quitting at the start of the school year just to get them off my back. And then, well, you.
I always had that feeling. It's why I never stopped bugging you to always come practice after Hagwon.
So we have 8 p.m. Practice partner in PC Pong. And Minsa. Considering how obnoxious you were at Hagwon, it's incredible we started hanging out.
Don't blame me. That place was a terrible fit. All my mom knew was that it was chic to have your kid at a good cram school.
It's not just that you never did any work. It was that during the breaks you bragged non-stop about almost anything.
Mostly Starcraft, I'll bet. Isn't it a good thing I did? Otherwise you wouldn't have challenged me.
So that's how they met. Or you could have just been normal, and I'd have asked you nicely.
I don't think you had the guts.
Either way, I was sure someone who talked so much wouldn't be able to back it up.
Almost everyone that lost to me had some mean stuff to say afterwards. That you conceded with a GG and shook my hand despite all my trash talk is what first made me like you.
I was too ashamed to even make an excuse. I went home right away, which spared Chae-young my true reaction. But the next day at Hagwon, she came to my desk to chat, and here we are now. You didn't make it easy.
Well, when everybody says mean stuff, you learn to put up a preemptive defense.
Understandable, I guess.
I'm not tired yet, but the sleep I get tonight is important to my performance tomorrow.
I don't care. We are talking about everything with her.
Did you keep in touch with anyone from XL Shine? Nah. Once you and I got far ahead of everyone else, destroying them wasn't any fun. XL Shine was close to the Hagwon, but it had the worst kind of PC Pong kids.
I just meant as friends.
Nope. Even the few who were nice always made it about what made me different. How impressed they were that I could be so good.
I thought the same thing all the time, but it felt weird and condescending to say it, so I never did.
Why did we stop hanging out anyway?
I never really thought about it.
What an obscene lie. Back then, Jet was just a person I played Starcraft with. Outside of that, I never asked her to hang out, mostly because I thought she'd say no. There wasn't really anything stopping us from staying in touch when we eventually left that cram school. But it's inconvenient to make plans with someone so far away, especially with how much I had to study. It was kind of sad. We might have talked a few times online, but when she'd suddenly joined Shock T1, I knew I'd missed my chance to stay friends. Not only is the life of a pro gamer busy, but I'd have also just looked like a pest getting back in contact only after major success like that.
It was probably your fault.
Probably.
Do you remember how we used to obsess about APM? Of course. It was like a real-life power level. The more you had, the better you were at the game, and the more impressed all your friends were. Sure, but we added so many unnecessary actions to pad our numbers. Mostly in the early game, and I'd argue it kept us warm and taught our hands to move a little faster over time. When we're crippled by carpal tunnel, at least we can rest easy knowing our middle school APM was out of this world. I love it. Was mine higher? I think I hit around 200 APM when I was 13. Oh, that was Jet. Whoops. I don't remember, or even exact what my APM was back then. What are you now? I'm just under 300 last I checked. Yikes, don't mean to embarrass you or anything, but... Kidding. Around 320. Hearing that never drives paying a competition up my back. For a second, I feel like a kid again. We need to change topics, or I'm gonna spam Axis pointlessly tomorrow. As long as it's not on stage. I think the last one's Minsa. 1 second. I wonder how long they had to discuss which order they were going to put this in. KDG too. How did you come to know Minsa? Through our Starcraft club, naturally. I wanted a place to play and show off at school, so I made one. As a first year, Minsa did all this club work for me. All I had to do was show up and play. We almost had 30 members. I still made time for them after I got my license. Why? You must have been ridiculously busy. Yep, but that's how much fun it was. I wasn't getting much better at the game then. The club made that tolerable. That doesn't sound like you. I made a lot of mistakes when I was 16, Sungkwan. I was happy to paint my face and jump on command if I could pretend I was a pro gamer. Every 16-year-old makes regrettable choices. Jet unfortunately made some of hers in public. But Minsa was there for me unconditionally. Even though I never shared much of what was bothering me with her, being around someone so relentlessly upbeat is infectious. Yuna might be in for the gift of her life. I didn't actually see KDG listed on here. I just totally missed it. Star Sense League. Ugh. If not for KDG, I doubt I'd be here. You talked about him all the time. I wanted to be him. It wasn't just his strategy or his playstyles, it was his presence. I tried so hard to emulate that. I still get goosebumps remembering the night that they clashed for the first time. If KDG hadn't lost it, it might be my favorite memory. You were resourceful about finding a TV. Your parents wouldn't let you watch, and I wasn't going to explain the whole match to you the next day. I wonder what happened to him and Ach. Do you think something obvious like military service or school? Do you think most pro gamers keep playing after they retire? Maybe at first, but once being a champion moves on to bigger things, they can't keep living into the past. I'll still be playing Starcraft when I'm an old lady, count on it. That's everything I wanted to say to her. I'm glad to have gotten all that off my chest. Now, on to every competitor's most important tool for preparation. Alright, for real this time, sleep. You got it. She buries herself underneath the covers and turns away. I do the same. I sleep, resident sleeper. What, like calm and relaxing birds? I bolt upright. This bed, unfamiliar. Where am I? The hotel, of course. To my right, Chae-young. I watch her sleep for a moment too long. My eye turns to the clock. 6:59. I mash the top to keep its howl from clogging the space between us. I shower, we dress, and we go. The walk is good. Already, I feel a familiar electricity roiling through me. Do-do-do. Totally know this word. A liquid turbid or muddy by disturbing the sediment. I've never heard that word before. Someone annoyed or irritated. So it's like moving about, running through. Like mixing. Weird. I've never heard anybody use roiling before, actually. That's interesting word. This feeling, it's refreshing. A reminder that I am who I say I am. Bolt, the pro gamer. A minute before we reach the conference center, I clap. Loud. Loud enough that Jet flinches and stares. I'm tense, wound like steel springs in her legs, ready to pounce. I'm gonna kill this open bracket. I explode into the arena, meeting eyes with anyone that dares to do the same to me. They all break before my gaze. Jet's at my heels, probably rolling her eyes or something else equally like her, but she's here for me, and that gives me confidence. Matches aren't for an hour. I'm hungry, but food comes after the first course. The foreigners and locals make a spectacle of my warm-up. APM in the 400s, something they've only seen in grainy film or spoken in myths. You're gonna break your keyboard, calm down. No, let me ride this out. Headphones, blinders, silence them. There, here, I am alone. Just me and these probes. They might as well exist in my hand. And before I know it, the bracket is about to begin. They just announced a format change. 200 players signed up, so the bracket is a best of one now. Wow, that's really bad. As you know, Starcraft pros are quite eloquent and have a high vocabulary. I mean, they did have to get their doctorate to play the game, you know. That shakes me. Jet can tell and steps forward to put a hand on me. Best of one, especially for StarCraft, is garbage. The games are at most like 7 to 20 minutes. Honestly, there's almost no excuse for it. Dang it, I keep clicking on that on accident. You're fine. Just scout your base hard on 2-player maps. This is ridiculous. Best of one? No losers side for top 16 either. They set 4 hours aside for the bracket. I don't think these people know how to run a StarCraft tournament. They really don't. Holy crap, that's disgusting. I'm actually beyond insulted. Like, without... Wow. That's gross. Disaster. With such a perfectly reasonable excuse if I lose, I could convince myself that it's an acceptable outcome. It's a best of one. Nothing I could do. But I'm not an amateur. I send the thought aside and think what advantage I can take from the development. I don't need to rush, but I need to put units on the map. None of them can hold me. There's no time to share my thoughts with Jet before the first round begins. An ill-equipped tournament organizer hustles down row after row, doing all that he can to start matches between brain-dead competitors. Bolts versus Shy Moors? My first opponent apparently can do nothing more than make circlings. What a waste of my time. You're in the way. Move. With nothing left of his paltry army, he has the sense to leave the game. Good. Now who's next? There's a certain fear forced upon a competent player who arrives at a base to find it lacking basic structures, knowing they must defend it in coming proxy. This early in an open bracket, though, it's just a sign of incompetence. Sorry, buddy. Your run-in's here. Crushed. I hear my opponent curse from his setup. I turn for Jet with a grin. Instead, I see Locke. When I show a rigid nod, he matches it and moves on without a word. This opponent seems keen to turtle and draw out the match. With ridiculous economy behind my attack, I feel no stress as I engage him out on the map. Even with stasis upgrades, my Zealot drops trading efficiently. With an army like this, the best I can hope for is in Korea. But here, it's more than enough. This opponent seems like a step up from the previous. I admire his attempt to stay on par with me in a standard game. But the fun's over. See if you can come back from this. Time to wreak a little havoc. Behind this harass, I've got tech upgrades and a massive army ready to rush forward. With his expansion and production destroyed and upgrades delayed, I guarantee myself an easy win. But hey, good game. The preliminary stress I felt going into this island map melted away as soon as I got my first Corsair out. Old maps with new knowledge, this guy was never gonna touch me.
Carrier has arrived.
Should I have made more carriers? Who knows, but this was fun.
May I be of service? Join us. Let us attack. Excellent.
How long has it actually been since I've used Disruption Web? In tandem with critical mass of carriers, it's impossible for him to ever get close. Camp his production, stay in position. Try all you like to claw your back way into this, but I'm the one who's moving forward. If I can finish off these hatcheries, this guy has no chance left. Let's do this. And it's done. I'm moving on to the first round of 16. Hey, average APM 120, accuracy 100%, S rank, what up? I don't always look away from the victory screen by choice. I'm ripped from it when Jet takes me by the shoulders and forces me to my feet. Nice game. Now we need to go. The modest crowd applauds me while I'm whisked by. A few forced mouse pads out and jabbering me at everything but Korean. But Chaeyoung's insistent tug wins out in the end. What's so pressing? Let me savor the win for a second, will you? Main stage matches are about to start and I need to eat. Can't you just... Cool. Alright, never mind. Whew. Thank you. And congrats on advancing. I'd imagine that a tournament as large as ICG should have a backstage area for players to rest and snack away from the crowd. But those hopes dry up when a tournament official fails to return after promising Jet to find out where it is. We resign ourselves to the overpriced convention food, but that too seems out of reach when we turn a corner and observe a line of no less than 50. Yeah, that sounds like a convention. I know that feel. Worse still, an announcement blares that it's time for Brood War to start. We're out of time. Sungwon, translate something for me. Attention. Jet will trade her autograph for lunch. Oh my gosh, that's brilliant. I love it. I also love that Sungwon just knows English well enough. A signed flip phone and a convention badge later, we sprint for the main stage with 2 tangerines each. When Chaeyoung catches my sight of me trying to unpeel mine with the teeth mid-run, she nearly trips laughing. Hey. With some frantic waving from the ICG staff, we find our way into a dark hallway adjacent from the stage. This isn't remotely close to the crisp efficiency we're used to the XSL or even VSL events. We're ushered to a semicircle made up of 14 other Starcraft players. Fierce and Locke together stand opposite of Jet and me. Man, they make him like really built for being, to be fair, literally they do, like he said, Starcraft, workout, eat, sleep. But still.
I got here just in time. Good to see you again, man.
Lucky you did. In Zoo High, the event doesn't start when we arrive.
Do me a favor and make it to the finals again, yeah? Xing's looking strong this season. I'm not ready for the Seven Kings to end it just yet.
I do want a rematch. I owe it to my fans.
Then come get it.
Certainly. I'll give them a match to remember. 4 Koreans, 2 Chinese, 1 Taiwanese, 5 Europeans, 2 Americans, a Canadian, and a Russian, I think, stand backstage. Rightfully, Locke and Fierce are on opposite sides of the bracket. So the 4 Koreans are us. I also love that they say Taiwanese. Also, respect for the Canadian, because there's been some really good Canadian players. Historically, I mean. Competition for 3rd is between 4 or 5 of us realistically, including me and Jet. We have the good fortune to not face one another early, but any good fortune in a bracket like this dries up quick. She faces Fierce in the semifinals. The same that I face Locke. Coach Bach lingers just outside a group of 4. Anxious eyes intent on Locke and Fierce. I try not to look at him when we break as a group. Once the ICG staff finish their rushed and uncoordinated opening ceremony, we find seats in the crowd and wait up for our matches. Nervous?
You know how much I prepared for ZVP.
Nobody says that.
You know how much I prepared for ZVP.
And I PVZ, but before I can say much, I feel an arm snake its way across my shoulders onto Jet's.
There you are, Chae-Young. Playing soon?
Yeah, trying to get to the zone, so...
Then I'll leave it to you. Sung Hwan, when is your match?
6th. Jet goes 2nd. The lights dim. Rock music tricks the crowd to cheer, and players step into the play area behind the massive screen. The Taiwanese player, Zen, against a Swede. Bafflingly, the players aren't visible on stage. ICG remedies that major oversight with occasional face cam shots alongside a game feed. That's so dumb. Why would you... That's such a... Wow. Wow, this is a really poorly designed tournament. Jet's attentive on the back and forth throughout the series. Considering she faces the winner next round, it's not out of appreciation for either player's style. Throughout the series, I fight the urge to excuse myself to the balcony. A Korean professional shouldn't need fresh air before a match with a foreigner. That's kind of racist. With Zen poised to take his victory with a 2-0, I offer Jet the thumbs up when she moves backstage. She answers with a stern nod. My gaze follows her until she steps out of sight. I return my attention to the screen to find it focused on Zen, out of his booth, celebrating on stage.
You both seem to handle pre-match pressure quite well.
As we should. Realistically, I'm going to smash my way through this bracket up to Locke, and then lose 0-2. Not much to be nervous about.
That's a losing attitude, but you don't seem the type.
How much do you know about Starcraft?
Enough to extend it an opportunity to Jet. It's an antiquated game, but one nonetheless I respect.
Right. Well, Fierce and Locke are part of something called the Seven Kings. 7 players who have made every XSL top 8 for the past year.
The caliber far above the rest.
It's not just skill. Our ecosystem supports players like those 7 before all others. Their personalities and personal stories are what keep the fans engaged. So a team is incentivized to create or acquire the stars and keep them relevant as long as possible.
Challenging, no doubt, especially when careers are so brief.
Lesser players mostly keep them in top form or lose to them. The dream of breaking out someday is the only thing that keeps us going.
I had forgiven Che Young's lie, but now I understand it. Quite the friend.
I nod in agreement, eyes shifting at once to Jet when she emerges on stage. Her game's about to begin. Wait, what did she just say?
Sunghuan, you realize your badge has your last name on it, yes?
Idiot!
The perfect silence from the music.
I see.
I appreciate you both kept paces with my teases. Don't worry, I won't have Daddy charge you for the trip.
What was her story exactly? Why would me being her brother let me tag along?
I'll let her explain that to you on her own terms.
The crowd cheers for Jet since she's a face they recognize. Either that or they don't have any other way of showing the surprise that a girl can play Starcraft. It's been more than a year since she's been inside that booth. What I see on her face as she prepares to enter a Chinese imitation isn't trepidation, but nostalgia. Jet sucks in a deep breath as one might on a walk to the woods. Then she demonstrates her confidence in ZVP is well earned. One of Synthe's teammates behind us mutters his amazement. One-sided, like a pistol round against the French.
Lars, I have 2 rules for professional gaming. Play the video game well and do not say anything racist. I do not like it when you break my 2 rules.
Those are good 2 rules.
Ah, come on, Jessica. You know I kid. As I was saying, Che Young is everywhere all at once.
That's the matchup in a nutshell, at least when Zerg is winning. But this isn't Jet at her best.
No, but she looks so confident.
Her strength is in her reactive and tricky play. She likes to macro, but I wouldn't call her passive. That style has problems against inferior players. You end up reading into their mistakes and find mind games where there's just simply inefficiency.
A wide skill gap on the world stage is remarkable, especially in a game such as popular as yours.
The gap between us and the foreigners is one thing. Just wait until Locke and Fierce play.
Yes, both are well regarded abroad. Jet too, you know.
I didn't know that. My guess would have been that foreigners don't know how to appreciate those outside of their country. Hey now, that's racist. You can't just assume people of a different country know nothing about your country. It's kind of terrible. Did you have her hand? Did you have a hand in her bracket seed?
How do you mean?
Jet got an invite to this tournament right after your organization messaged her about a job. She thought you might have had something to do with that.
Is that so? Well, I have absolutely no say in what ICG does. Don't forget, I'm here as a competitor as well.
I'm glad that still works for you, Cyclone, because that's just the bottle. Also, sorry, I didn't expect that to be that loud.
Jet's invitation was no doubt for her substantial profile. It means much to many that she can stand on that stage.
Synthé points to it right as Jet steps out of the booth. Next time, make it louder, please. That's not possible. She acknowledges the crowd with a wave and they applaud her until she steps out of sight. Jet joins us in the crowd soon after her victory. High on her win, she delights in autographing a few mouse pads before returning to her seat at my side.
Nice. Come on, give me more than that. I deleted that guy. Well done. I'm eager to see if Sung Hwan can follow up on your performance. Impossible. A Zerg victory is a thing of beauty. A Protoss victory just means the opponent made one mistake. Oh, mean. She and Jet sure laugh, so they can get along, as long as it's at my expense. The next match is between two foreigners. I only watch from a sense of obligation. With the score at 1-1, an atypical base trade situation nearly ends in a tie. It isn't until one player extends too far with his air units to pick off a floating Terran building that the situation changes. Without the ability to defend his last structure, the series ends. The next belongs to Fierce. Most pro gamers can only dream of earning the chance to play Fierce in a tournament. I believe that Locke is a better player, but there's an inviolable quality I won't deny in Fierce's play that's reflected well by his name. The man does not give up. He's made so many ridiculous comebacks in his career that they're inseparable from his persona. Fans and commentators alike theorize that he must prefer to play from behind. I can't believe something like that is true, and I certainly can't believe he'd allow himself to fall behind it against a foreigner here and now. He doesn't. Lace-up. Hey, you right. I'm going. Good luck. Warm-up PCs are behind the stage if you need one. I roll my neck and answer Synthe's well-wishing with a nod. I don't. To be fair, he did literally just have the entire morning as basically warm-up. That's a nice booth. I take my time collecting my earbuds, mouse, and keyboard. A competitor has no need for flagrant celebration, especially against a foreign opponent. I step through the booth door and behold 100 screaming fans. For all of ICG's shortcomings, I can say with honesty that I've never been cheered so hard for in my career. The shock of it freezes me in place. There at the edge of the stage, I stare out across a sea of raised arms and painted signs. A flash of auburn near the front row catches my attention. When we meet eyes, my feet free themselves. I move backstage with the intent to retake my seat, but as I turn into the hall, I find a figure waiting at the exit. He doesn't acknowledge me. If I didn't know better, I'd say he was ignoring me. Although the overhead light's reflection, I can see his eyes are closed. I credit Locke for my ability to tune out the unnecessary. Of the many things I learned from Kuijong, it was that was one that he explicitly taught. Part of me wants to say hello. I'm fresh off a win, something he's guaranteed to acknowledge. But I set aside my need for recognition. His game comes first, and we'll have to talk after we play. So I step past him and prepare to turn the corner back towards the crowd. It's unfortunate. It won't be a team kill, but it'll feel like one. I'm glad to see you make it. Che Young Song and have a hand in that? Jed is a good person and a real competitor. I wish more people knew that. We remember the kind, but kindness is not why they persist. It's because that trait is rare in someone worth remembering. I'm glad you kept your word. I'm not ready to move on, and I won't be, until I've accomplished something to be proud of. I hope that's the truth. Well done, Sunghwan. I'll admit, I spent less time watching the game than I did with... Wait a second, what? I'll admit, I spent less time watching the game than I did you. Your face is so honest when you're preoccupied with Starcraft. If my opponent can't see, it's not a problem. But it's a charming quirk. It says less about the bolt inside the booth than the bolt outside of it. Let down your mask sometimes. Don't try to understand him. Dive deep into learning about Sunghwan and all you'll find is angst and salt. Doesn't that describe like all League of Legends players? Clean game too, by the way. Back on stage, an American crushes his opponent with 2 quick games. The crowd gives him less of a cheer than he deserves for knocking out a Chinese player. He acknowledges them nonetheless with a wave before retreating back on stage. That flag there, hold up. That's nothing like the Chinese flag, right? Is that an American flag? Moving on.
No doubt they're nervous that the tournament is running with 2 hours behind schedule. Wow, that's a big oof.
It's past time I rounded up these boys of mine anyway. Free up the stage quickly, won't you?
Will we see you again?
If you're in the crowd, until then.
Jet's up again after lock. We spend a few moments before her match begins, away from the rest of the competitors. Zen plays well, but you'll beat him.
I hope so. ZVZ is such a coin flip.
Just get through it and claim your games against Fierce. Together, we sneak a glance together. That seems... We sneak a glance together at the picture of relaxation. With his legs spread across 2 chairs in the front row, he lounges with his eyes shut and earbuds in, despite the hungry crowd behind him.
Alright, time to go warm up.
I should focus on my own match as well, but I can't deny a sudden impulse. Hey, Fierce. I see recognition in his eye. Without reluctance, he pops out his earbuds and holds them in either hand.
Sunghwan Lee, right? What's your handle?
Yeah, it's nice to finally meet you. I study your games all the time.
For yourself or for Locke?
Well, I just wanted to say hello. Korea was always guaranteed to win, but I'm glad to see 404 still alive.
I'm just amazed that Chae Young Song is here. I didn't know she was still competing.
She practices. We're here together, actually.
Ah, explains what I've been wondering. It's unusual for a practice partner to risk the trip alone. No offense.
I can pay for a month-long team search with the 3rd place, and I had factored in 2nd as a possibility until I learned that Locke replaced Jaejong.
Bad luck. I'm personally glad he's here. I'm always down for a match with one of my fellow 7 Kings. When did CHB Renown cut you?
A few weeks ago. They're trying to shrink their roster, apparently.
I heard something about budget problems. Shame. And strange. I could think of a few CHB players I'd cut ahead of you.
7. Us. Also, that's like... That's gotta be a big ego boost. Just saying. My ego didn't need that, but it's welcome anyways. I'm here to put it behind me.
Well, as long as I keep winning, teams will always need Protoss practice partners.
I mean, you right. I answer his laugh with my own. I disliked Fierce for him standing in Locke's way, but I can't deny my respect for him. Before I can ask how he spent yesterday, a growing murmur from a crowd behind us breaks into a powerful cheer. Zen just massacred Jet's drone line. He should crush forward if he's feeling aggressive, or macro up with some more Mutalisks if he wants to play solid. Either way, it'll be impossible for Jet to crawl out of this situation. Despite its foregone conclusion, I linger in an awkward silence until Fierce until Jet's defeat in Game 1.
Unlucky.
With my attention on Chae Young, I now only now notice Coach Park in the row behind me. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Fierce slip his earbuds back in.
I'd still favor her to win the set, but my margin for error just shrank substantially. Then again, guessing the outcome in Zerg vs. Zerg isn't easy.
Jet always despised this matchup, mostly for the rock-paper-scissor elements.
ZVC is volatile, to say the least. It's much harder than the other matchups to predict the outcomes based on data. For Team Link rosters, as an example. You will be up against Locke for your next round if you win. Don't take advantage of your secret info from the team house too much.
He lets his grin fall away when I don't answer. If he thought that our earlier conversation had closed the wound, he knows better now.
Right. Good luck with your match, Sunghwan.
The next 15 minutes pass in excruciating agony. Jet falls behind early and desperately claws her way back into near even footing, only to lose ground again. After a long and desperate struggle, I watch Jet's ICG run end. The crowd explodes, a rising tide of waves and screams as that if it weren't for his place above them, might wash Zen out into the murky sea. For his part, the young Taiwanese player celebrates sheepishly. Zuhai might see him as a hometown hero since he won, but that doesn't revel in their... Is Zuhai not in... No, it's in China proper. It's not Taiwan. I'm so confused. So I'm still thrown about the fact that they have a flag that's very clearly not a Chinese flag. Weird. I can't see Jet from this angle, but she must be in the booth. Should I say something? If not now, then... Chae-Young flies past the area between the stage and the hallway out of sight. I find myself giving chase. Though I find turned heads backstage, two in particular towards the restrooms. I don't see her. Those heads soon aim towards me, so I brush myself off and walk away to prepare for my own game. Good luck out there. Don't forget to have fun. Thanks, Fierce. I shake off my right hand as if it's covered in filth. 2-1 against a foreigner. An embarrassment, even if I did win it. I almost didn't want to get out of the booth. Man, not a huge fan of Bolt right now. Yet when I do, the crowd is utterly oblivious to the mess they've beheld. Backstage, Jet's still nowhere to be seen. There's only 5 of us left, though Locke makes that 4 after a half hour on stage. Though there aren't any windows in the venue to tell, I know it's getting late. Synthea and her team were scheduled to be on stage an hour ago. Fierce and Zen take the stage next. I feel the crowd's blistering excitement through the backstage curtain. That leaves just me and Locke from the front row alongside the production staff and other industry types. There's nothing for me to say to him until after the game. Above all, I want to show him and Coach Puck that they made a mistake. Fierce closes out the first game and seems primed to take the set, all the while I fight mounting distractions. Non-Koreans dance game. Cyclone Plus. Is Chae-Young okay? What time is it? Will Ki-jong say something to me? What strategic plan do I stick to? Focus. Tune it out. In just 30 minutes, it'll all be over. Play well, and it will all be worth it. I know how I'll play. I wonder if Locke remembers his final lesson to me. It's just a game of Starcraft. Let it be a good one. And then, at last, it's time. Let's go, baby. Once the game loads up, a calm washes over me. Without a ramp from the natural, this map makes early Dragoon aggression a prime choice. That's comfortable territory. Whether or not this deals significant damage, it'll at least be a chance to test Locke how he wants to play this series. What I find is a greedy expansion poorly defended by the map's terrain. Getting here early gives me a chance to deny Locke his resources till he builds up an army to force me out. Locke positioned his barracks to prevent me from sprinting into his base to wreak havoc, but I turned his choke into my choke. He won't be able to escape his own base without siege tanks now. Satisfied with my damage I've dealt to the economy, I deal a little more and call for a retreat. I'm ahead going into the mid-game. With passable terrain overlooking the natural expansion from this map, Shuttle Reaver play is an obvious go-to, but Locke might be too far behind to emptively pre-counter it. Time to figure out if that's true. I arrived to an SCV spotting for units on the bridge and below, but no missile turrets. This is down to a test of micro. Whoops, I had those backwards. Oh well. Perfect. With only shield damage taken by my Reaver and 3 units down, has already been a success. Where to attack next? What? A Wraith? I have to get my shuttle out of there. But Locke doesn't miss a single moving shot. Not only was he prepared for my attack, he hard read it. That was a bad trade. With Wraiths out, it'll be much more difficult for me to get anything done with the shuttles. Shake it off, Sungwon. What did Locke teach you about reacting to setbacks mid-game? You don't. Now stop overthinking and macro. Whoops. Locke's already back on his feet. I need to peel off some Dragoons to deal with this vulture drop. But when I pull my Dragoons back, he rushes forward to one of my bases. I can't let him pull me apart like this. Handle these losses, Sungwon. I can recover, but only if I get time to build cannons and challenge him out of the map. Yes, a group of vultures out in the open. I need to get them before they can escape. You're gonna run into Widow Mines. You don't have an observer. Oh, I'm wrong. Finally, a good trade. Handle this roving harassment squad. Offers me a breathing room. I need to follow up. I managed to sneak an Arbiter past his defenses and into the main. I just have seconds to hit recall whether before he either EMPs or snipes it. Yes, perfect. With the choke on his natural, it'll be hard for him to pull back and defend this. I'm gonna turn down that music a tiny bit. That music decided to get real loud all of a sudden. Camping and destroying his production of meching Terran is as close to checkmate as it gets. I can win. Locke resists, pulling his vessels back to cast a defensive matrix on his tanks right as they spawn, but the damage I've dealt forces an endgame scenario. Rather than pull back and fight a disadvantageous battle, Locke surges forward to crush my remaining bases. I split my army for this attack, so I can't stand against him. This comes down to one final fight. Locke can't reinforce his army. Every tank I pick off puts me that much closer to victory. But Terran mech are considered the strongest army composition for a reason. I can't stop him from pushing forward to my expansions. When I try, he crushes me. Game 1 goes to Locke. Sour plus. Yeah, there was the two left and right clicks I got backwards. I played fine. More than fine. That was a good game. Let's show the crowd at least one more, yeah? This time I favor the role of defender. Locke doesn't initially show me much of an inclination to get aggressive, but he does test my front line with vultures. No, he managed to run by a gap in my forces. I should have put a gateway in the wall, even if he might have sniped it later with tanks. What a blunder. Losing probes early can be crippling. I need to pull my units back. Move. Good. Now to get my probes out of there into my third base. I don't think there are mines around, but I should be careful just in case there are. My expansion almost totally naked. With Ramshackle and my wall to the north, just one Dragoon stands between my economy and his vultures. I need to hold this ramp. Get in position. Yes, I'm holding firm. I might be a little behind, but I'm still in this. I just need to pick off a few of these vultures. No time to celebrate. Macro cycled now. Without resources spent on the Reaver play in this time around, I have Storm ready for our next engagement on the map's center. Your army is clumped, Keijung. Let's see you get out of this. Yes! Yes! But I'm not done yet. Have another. I must have hit before the upgrade's finished. With that skirmish won, I have more than enough units to clean up his army's remnants. Push forward, seize the advantage. Nothing's as satisfying than crushing isolated tanks. Beautiful, I'm actually doing it. But I can't be complacent. Run down that mental checklist. Fourth expansion ready, cannons constructing and Dragoon guarding. With my economy secured behind this attack, I'm free to get aggressive. When I catch 4 tanks all in stasis, I feel the crowd rumble. Unopposed, I march my Arbiter cloaked army into his natural. Oh my gosh. I'm actually doing this. His natural is done for. I'm certain he'll pull his paltry army back to punish me for that attack. But I've got other plans. Rather than trade his economy for my units, why don't I absolutely crush his economy for free? Recall now. I've got you now, Keijung. With his last mining base on one volley from destruction, Locke types GG. I did it. I tied up the series. Only 131. I'm such a scrub. I'm trying. What a rush. I never imagine I make it this far into a set against Locke. He opens up game 3 with predictable vulture pressure. Though I've cut my defenses thin, as long as I'm careful while disarming these mines, I should be okay. Done. I thread the needle and prepare for a mid-game and even footing. What have you got in store for me this game, Kijong? Nothing can break the flow state I'm in right now, not even this unfamiliar map. I hit my next macro cycle without even thinking about it. Left D, left D, left C. But there was no second left C. Oh well. But despite my on-point macro, Locke flexes his knowledge of the terrain to force my probes off the third base. Looks like I'm going to have to give up my third base, to Locke at least. But two can play at that unfamiliarity. When was the last time you faced down Corsairs in TVP, Kejong? It's not something we ever practiced, was it?
I stand ready.
Oops, I keep taking screenshots. I had a fun disruption web early in the bracket that gave me an idea I had to try. This kind of play is micro-intensive and fragile, but deadly if the opponent isn't prepared. And Locke's many strength, he absolutely was not prepared for Corsairs. I force him off my entrenched position behind my third base and chase down his army. No doubt behind this, he's preparing Goliath and vessels, but I'm ready to pivot. Rather than continue to invest in air units, my command skies offers me enough information to transition back into a ground army. I guard my Corsairs carefully, at least until they can get down their disruption webs. With his ranged units unable to fire, I can march straight up into the tank line. Let's move.
I be of service.
It's working. My plan is working. Without the firepower at full force, my zealots continue to close the distance and unseat Locke from the center of the map. I pinched off access to this fourth base. Yes, this will cripple him. Just one more battle. One more battle. If I can take down this army, he won't be able to reinforce. Now or never go. I'm winning. No. I've already won. I just have to play it out. What? What is happening? How is this happening? Locke's army destroyed. I have 5 bases. Don't choke. He's gonna type GG. He typed GG. He left the game. I won the game! Thinking of getting an APM tracker for my UDG run, Kappa. Do it, you won't. 100. 132. AA. Rank S. What up? All S's. An unbridled high cascades through my body. I scream, crush my headphones against the desk, and pump my arms. Even knowing that the camera must be focusing on my face doesn't stop my celebration. Out of vital curiosity, I reach into my bag and pull from it Mince's good luck charm. I feel luckier when I pull it in two and reveal a USB stick. I tell myself they're for study, but it's my ego that wants them. Without a clue as whether or not it's allowed, I transfer the set's replay onto thumb drives. The crowd's gnawing insistence that I acknowledge them finally leads me to exit the booth. The screams of the fan, the blazing music, and the gush of the commentary. It's overwhelming. I can't yet comprehend this moment as real. I made the ICG Zhuhai Finals. Sunghan! I feel a tightness in my chest and then turn around. I look down to see Chaeyoung's hands grasping my shirt. She shakes me twice, stumbles back, and then marches towards me. Oh my god, you did it! How? I don't even remember. I was hoping to learn from you. Well, I only caught the end of Game 3. It was the crowd. They were so loud. But god, this is huge! I mean, you're actually going to win some prize money. People back home are going to lose their minds over this. Kijung's fans must be in tears. Who cares about his fan club? Sunghwan, you're one series away from the greatest upset of all time. I'm sure the finals are going to start soon. Shouldn't you head back? They're squeezing in some sponsored announcement first, but I should. Okay, well, are you all set? Foods Court's probably still open. I'll be fine once this is over with. It's a lot to deal with all at once. Holy smokes. I had expected you to be a bit more upbeat. Whatever you do, actually do, Locke. It isn't guilt. I know. Let me get back in the zone. Alright. That's the most important right now. Good luck. You can do this. Fierce and I stand center stage, a translator and host between us. They ask what we're supposed to. How we feel, how much we practice, what our plans are for the series. It's nothing but a formality. I can barely tell myself how I feel. My practice routine is the same as every other KPGA pro, and I can't explain my plan. My opponent's standing right there. Despite ICG's intention, this moment isn't just for the crowd. It's for Fierce and me. The stare down before a fight. A chance to lie and posture and push any last-minute mind games. He scares me so bad. As an underdog, I have every right to walk into this match free of pressure. No one's expecting me to win, so no one will look down on me if I lose. But that weight's just been replaced by another. Low as I've already driven Locke, a poor performance against his rival will make him look even worse. And what did you think of Bolt's victory, Fierce? Really impressive. We're both Protoss players, so it's easy to forget how well he knows Locke's style. Maybe even better than I do. I saw one of the production staff prep the South Korean flag backstage. One of us will drape it around our shoulders before the crowd in less than an hour. When I see that moment in my head, it's me. I've dreamt of total victory many times before, but not until now have I visualized it. I'll give you the last word. Anything to say to Fierce? I just want us to show the crowd some good games. When everyone else is finished talking, Fierce turns to me and offers his hand. A shake, and we return to the booths. Every game starts the same, even one against Fierce. I have every reason to feel comfortable in the early stages of the game, yet I'm not. I just can't shake this ominous feeling that meaningless mistakes I made early in the bracket now actually matter. Fierce gives me no quarter. His massive Dragoon and Zealot army pins me against my expansion. I don't have the time or APM to harass with my Shuttle and Reaver to defend this. I need to hold. It's now or never. Even though we're trading evenly, he managed to get my Shuttle. I need reinforcements. No time to think. Research Psystorm and hit this next macro cycle now. No, I need to get back to the battle. Fierce is pushing my multitasking to the absolute limit. But it's not enough. Every stage, Fierce simply had more of everything. I concede game going with the GG and wait for my cue to join the next game. Jesus, what am I supposed to do against that? At every stage, he had more than I did. Faster reactions, more APM, and better control. I've been taking punches my whole life, but it felt like one swing from Fierce is all it took to put me down in that game. Seconds later, the admin signals for me to join the next lobby. Again, the early game passes without incident, and again, Fierce tests my multitasking. Focus, Sungwon. Hit this macro cycle ASAP. I can't! I need to focus on this battle. I can't explain the sensation. It's like a weight I simply can't lift. No, even when I'm focusing on the battle, he carves the army before I can even cast Storm. I have no army. I can't keep up with this production. How am I supposed to do this? Did I ever have a hope of winning? In the minute respite I have before my next match, my discipline pulls me back from the brink. I was wondering whether or not it was going to be a best of 5 or a best of 7. To be fair, StarCraft 2 is usually like best of 7, I think. I beat Locke. I can beat Fierce. I just don't know how I'm going to do it. I show a good game, but that doesn't mean I can't find an unexpected edge. That has to start with believing it's possible to win. Intensified music. This is my last chance. Game 3. If I'm going to pull the series back from here, I need to reverse sweep. This time, I force Fierce's hand. I answer with an early gas steal with a greedy expansion. He's aware enough to not miss it and hits it with Dragoons in time. No good. This is way more cannons than I wanted to build, and even then I might not hold this. There's no time. Not even now he's stepping onto the map. I have to hold. For that, I need reinforcements.
No, not now. My dragoons. I can't keep up. I'm concerned. With my last mining base surrounded, I watch my ICG run end. After all that, never even had a chance. Rip. Defeat is painful, but what I feel as I pull off my headphones and watch Fierce march out on the stage isn't pain, it's realization. I am not on his level. Not even close. I can practice for a year straight while the rest of the world stands frozen and lag behind the level of play he just demonstrated. Every fan and amateur believes they know the brilliance of a champion, but standing face to face with him, I didn't see brilliance. I felt brutality. I move back with my head down, ashamed. But before I can find Jet, a production assistant stops me and gestures to go back towards the stage. I turn around and see Fierce waving at me. It took too long to realize he wants me to join him. When I take that first step, the Chinese crowd hum turns into yet another roar. What is this to them? Yo, here, grab this! He unfurls the flag from around his shoulders and offers me a part of it. After a moment of hesitation, I pinch a corner between two fingers and then with my fist. Stiffness flees my body when we raise it overhead. I've never heard so many camera clicks in my life. Something warm and wet trickles down my face, though I'm quick to wipe it away. This isn't the moment I dreamed of, but I'm glad I experienced it on my way. Yar, we win some, we lose some. I mean... Oh, Sung Hwan! Synthé snaps her arm around my shoulder and holds herself in her commingled faces. After a flash, she checks the pick and releases me. What a display! Bravo! With that victory, you'll take home at least as much as Chaeyoung. I see Jet's smile falter in the corner of my eye. I'm ready to excuse myself from the conversation when Synthé does it for me. Alas, no time to chat. Come on now, boys. She leads her Nord squad up the stairs. Nord squad! It's far from an empty backstage. The reprieve from thousands of eyes offers me some much-needed comfort as I join with Jet. I lost. Badly. It's okay. It's better than okay, honestly. You know that. I want to pretend it isn't. A competitor longs solely for first, regardless of the situation. If I let myself be satisfied with second, I'm admitting something I'd rather not. This is Jet, though. Why even now do I feel the need to come up with this mask? You worked hard. You did your best. You're proud of what you've accomplished. What else is there to want? I'm sure I disappointed the crowd with a boring final. Locke never... Stop. Jet's eyes say everything I've been trying to ignore after my victory against him. You know what? I'm done doing this. Why bother holding myself to impossible standards? Shouldn't second place at ICG be allowed to set his own standards? You're right. I should be happy. And I am. Let's party tonight. You're in luck. We got an after party invite courtesy of Synthé. And we've got front row seats to Counter-Strike final. We owe Synthé a watch. Over my shoulder, I see her fierce mobbed by interviewers and cameras. My tinge of jealousy eases when Jet and I turn the corner. A handful of Chinese fans assail us, mostly me, for pictures and autographs. Synthe's match is already underway by the time we escape. Just before we finally make it back under the crowd, I spot two figures standing at the end of the hall. We share the... Wait, what? They're just gonna jump to that? Like that? We share the seaside path with only a few others on our way to the after party. It's past midnight, something that's not far from Chaeyoung's mind, given the proximity she keeps to me. Just down this block, here. We cut right down a side street. Bars and late-night restaurants line up booth blocks. Their signs flicker overhead and cast the passerby in red. I follow Jet into one of the entrances labeled with three letters. KTV? It's what China calls a noraebang. Oh. We're going karaoke? It looks no different than a karaoke room back in Seoul. The language barrier between Jet and the staff denies us entry into the top floor until Synthé comes prancing down the steps. We wondered if you'd be joining us. She beckons us up 4 flights of stairs to emerge together in a picturesque private lounge. 4 tall blonde dudes, mostly with a date at their arm, acknowledge us bluntly. Korea! Aye! They're no less pumped than they were on stage post-victory. Even Synthé seems light on her feet. Aside from gatekeepers and their company, a half dozen others fidget separately at a room's edges. Among them, Zen and one of the Smash guys. I point out the former with a nudge. Psst, look, it's your best friend. I don't even want to look at him. He notices our arrival and then pretends he didn't. I take that as an unequivocal win. Jet and I find seats next to Synthé. Nobody's drunk enough to take the mic quite yet, though with one of the Swedes is getting there. So, Seunghwan, second place. To think you were so certain that victory against Locke was impossible. It didn't seem likely. Jet and I practiced a lot, maybe more than I realized. More than I've practiced in a while, but everyone practices hard. Everyone who wins anyways. By the way, did you really have to invite him? Jet flings a hand towards Zen. He notices, but I can't tell if it was him or Chae-young's. It was him, or if Chae-young's just an animated talker. Be thankful I don't translate that. If you cannot get along with my guests, I expect you to at least tolerate them. You don't get how our game went. Zerg versus Zerg is such a coin flip. Ask him for a rematch, or she'll jump at the chance to practice with a Korean. I will. The next time I face him, I'll... You know what? Hold it. I want soju before we continue this. Hold it. I must inform you that the last time I hosted a little post-tournament get-together of this sort, we had a minor incident of teen drinking. My own value system aside, it made for a problematic end to an otherwise fine evening. So if you're not permitted to drink, then do not. All present hum an acknowledgement. Alcohol flows, but not before one of Synthé's teammates finally breaks the ice and graces us with his miserable singing. I hope he's not their team's shot caller. They shouldn't be underage. Although I don't know the drinking age in China. And that's kind of important. Drinking age in China. The legal age is 18. So honestly, I'm pretty sure she's 18. Jet rushes in the arms of inebriation. The only thing holding her back is the need to keep up with the conversation. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. I was gonna say, pretty sure she's old enough to drink. So, how would you rate your first ICG experience? Hard to say when I played like garbage. A better performance might have eased the pain you're feeling now, but try to look past it for the moment. How do you think the event was overall? It was a mess. ICG delayed your final for like 3 hours. Felt like they were just making it up as they went along. The events in Europe and America tend to be a little better, but they too have their problems. I'm not even mad about the whole thing, just embarrassed. They should try to learn from us. The biggest issue is outsourcing. Too many vital positions go to locals without enough experience. Broadcasts in Korea have consolidated organizers and considerable resources. Of course it runs smoothly. You have almost 10 years to get it right. What, am I supposed to feel bad for all the shit they put the players through? No, but personally I'm more pleased to see esports grow worldwide than I am frustrated about a few delays. Speaking of clusters, can you explain to me why there's a window into the bathroom of our hotel room? Did you book some kind of voyeur discount for us? Oh, and the king bled too? It slipped my mind entirely. Now then, the window is no foul play on my part, Seunghwan. It's common for Chinese hotels. One refrain is that it's a subtle way of encouraging those traveling for business to book multiple rooms. That the discomfort you experience was by design. I believe the root answer is much simpler. The Chinese simply don't value privacy as you or I do. Really? That's obnoxious. and amenable if I would have known the truth, but you seem to have made it out unscathed, no? Just one night to go. Discomfort, Dan's game. It's like Homeless. Learn to get comfortable traveling abroad, especially if your game's sequel is as big as I'm anticipating. Have either of you played it yet?
No, Kijung has. Though I didn't ask him about it.
Locke? Oh, wonderful. Perhaps I'll get the chance to ask him myself as if he shows.
Sensei invited Locke? I expected a jolt of anxiety, but it doesn't come. What a welcome change.
You two visit for a bit. It's my turn on the mic. Too much non-talking happening at the edge of the sofa. I'll have to remedy that.
Sensei glides past us and seizes the room's attention with their C-pop selection. Only Jet and I wield the ability to look away. The karaoke room doesn't have soju, but it does have something apparently similar called Baijiu. Despite the horrible taste, Jet slams 2 shots back to back. Dang. Slow down there. We've got all night.
I wasn't ready to lose like that. God, why me?
You can't always win. Just do better next time. She knocks away a hand I extended towards her and then throws her head back.
It's not fine. It's fine for you because you did well. This is just... We practiced the same amount. You beat Kijung and I lost to a foreigner.
A few eyes shift towards us, but only until daring pose from Sensei snaps her back her way.
It's just not fair. I hate your guts, Sunghwan. You get everything I want. Give me that blank stare. I don't care.
What are you talking about? Besides this, what?
Do I really need to explain this? You had every opportunity that anyone could want, and then you decided to play Starcraft for some reason.
You sound like my parents. And jealous. That's the alcohol speaking. Why, yes. Yes, it is.
You're right. How could I not envy you? Right now, no matter how happy I am that this trip worked out, I can't think of anything else about how much I want you to die.
I was jealous when you joined Shock T1. Did I ever show it?
I'm sure you would have given the chance.
Jet stares into our Baijiu class.
They wouldn't let me live in the team house. Said I might distract the other players, that it wasn't appropriate. Coach Kong promised they'd arrange sessions for me to show up and make time for me to train with them online, but it was rare, if ever. Of course, right after I left, they announced the practice room. It wasn't important that I was good, just that I was in the studio when they told me. Do you want to leave? Am I being a downer? Is that it?
I'm just saying we can go if you want.
No, I'll stop. You wanted to celebrate, so I'll just stop.
She rises, swaying slightly on her way up.
I'll be back.
Jet shambles towards the hallway, brushing past a tall figure on her way out. Kijung watches her pass before he finds Sensei's arm around his shoulder with a side hug, even as she keeps up with her song. When there's a break in the lyric, she holds the mic at arm's length.
So glad you could make it. Let me just finish up here, even though I'm sure you and Sunghwan have plenty to talk about in the meantime.
Locke hums and then pushes past her, moving then to take the seat on my left. That's Chae-young's seat. He glances up at me, gaze impossible to read as always. Without a word, he instead sits on the empty space to my right. Coach Park not up for a norebong? No. Oh, that's not his voice.
No.
But you are? Locke doesn't answer. Even in familiar company, he's not the type to cut loose. Sensei finishes out her song with the microphone twirling. The Smash player actually applauds, and she blows a kiss in his direction, much to the annoyance of his date, before clunkering back to her center seat.
Oh, am I up? I want to go. I was hoping to give Jet a turn, but it seems she slipped out. Go ahead.
Her fist pumps and rises along one of her teammates. Sensei leans over to me to speak to Locke.
Do you know if Fierce is coming? I do not. Well, it's a delight you decided to join us, Kijung. I've spent plenty of time with Sunghua and Chae-young this weekend. Starcraft players make fine company when they aren't scowling and overanalyzing. Is that so? Oh yes, you set the sportsmanship standard. I'll beat it into these boys of mine eventually. It's better if your players come to that conclusion on their own. Enforcing respect for the undeserving undermines the concept. That is not an insight I would have arrived at my own. Synthé sheds the edge in her gaze easily and offers Locke a glass, which he declines. She shrugs and kindly refills my baijiu instead. The nuances of your game are hard to understand, but I must ask, how much of Starcraft could you truly call a strategy game? Don't drink, people. I mean, don't drink excessive. I feel like everything should be done in moderation. That's my official statement. Depends on the skill. If you're not at the top level, mechanics and macro decide the game more often than strategy. I see. Then what about for you and Locke? How much did strategy decide the games between you two? Versus some other metric? None. None? What? You misplayed all over the place. No, I played standard. You used metagame knowledge and gambled to great success. That's the same thing. Are you making excuses? Synthé seems primed to wield her silver tongue to diffuse the situation until I shift in front of her, effectively cutting her out of her own conversation. Ooh. This is not an excuse. It is what happened. You played predictably. I knew that and I took a win. Are you washed up or what? You led us to last place in the team standing, choked the championship despite all the practice I gave you, and now you lost to a training dummy to your training dummy who qualified through the open bracket. I practiced no more than any other KPGA drone, but here I am second place over you. Explain that. Kijung doesn't respond immediately. In the absence of the conversation, I hear my own breathing through the chaos of somebody singing karaoke. When he does, though, it's with his full attention given to me. You did beat me. Today. But tomorrow is another day. The work you put into this achievement has only begun. I've no doubt you'll find your way back onto the KPGA team. It's what you want, what you'll do with that opportunity that matters. Shut up. You can't send me. Not anymore. If that's what you wanted, you shouldn't have let Coach Park cut me. Locke thinks for a long time about what to say next. I didn't let Coach Park cut you, Sunghwan. I told him to cut you. I'm gonna kill this kid. What? What? Why? Wild impulse rushes through my arms. I feel my fist tighten, but before I can cock it back, I spot Jet leaning against the doorframe. Sunghwan, let's sing. Not now, please, Jet. I don't want you to see this. Turn around, please. Don't look. But she keeps watching and grinning, blissfully unaware. Jung. Just... Why? What did I do wrong? Nothing makes sense no matter how many times I've run it through my head. I was improving, we had camaraderie, and our practice was good. So why? If you're as good as you think you are, then prove it. Stop. I don't want advice or platitudes. All I want is the truth. I can take it. No, you can't. Locke offers one last look before rising to his feet. The exchange robs Synthé of any grace in his departure, watching alongside Jet and me as he slips out without another word. In defiance of the confrontation, Jet clambers her way onto my lap and commands my attention for more physical contact than I've ever been ready for. Sunghwan, can we sing now? I'm sorry for inviting him. I wasn't aware you weren't on such good terms. Jet. You were right. That line sobers her up a bit. She climbs off me and slaps her hand onto my shoulder. Oh, I've never heard something so sweet. A concession from Sunghan. That's the next best thing from a Star League win.
She pumps both hands at the mic on the table. I answer with a sigh and reach for it. What should we sing?
Let it out. Oh, I just got an achievement. Ready to roar.
What's our choices?
VSL. Vaccine. Oh, dude, it's gotta be vaccine. Jet. 100% vaccine, right? Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley? Got it. He's trying to get you to punch him so your career goes downhill, and then you might go for it because you're drunk. I mean, you're not wrong. Alright, I'm gonna be right back. We're gonna take a quick fiver.